Do you feel tired after eating? Or maybe you finish a meal but you're still hungry. That could be your blood sugar talking, not your appetite. Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Hyman, a practicing physician in functional medicine and passionate about helping people live longer, not just in years, but in energy, strength, and clarity. And today I want to have a very honest conversation with you about something that's quietly affecting millions of people over 60. Because here's the truth, over 60% of adults past age 60 in the US are either pre-diabetic or already have type 2 diabetes, and most of them don't even know it. I recently met a patient named Harold. He's 68, retired, plays golf, eats what he calls a pretty normal diet: toast in the morning, sandwich at lunch, a little pasta at night. But he came to see me because of two things. He felt exhausted after meals, and he kept waking up at night thirsty and restless. When we ran his labs, we found his HbA1c was 6, 4%, just on the edge of type 2 diabetes. But here's the catch: he wasn't on any medication yet. His doctor said, let's wait and see. But Harold didn't want to wait. He wanted to take back control before things got worse. And that's why we're doing this episode today. Because Harold's story is not rare. It's incredibly common. And the good news is type 2 diabetes doesn't have to be permanent. It can be paused, it can be reversed, and it starts with the food you choose. To explore this deeply, I've invited someone I deeply respect, a man who has helped thousands of older adults find strength again through simple science-backed changes. Please welcome my co-host, Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara.
Thank you, Dr. Hyman. It's always an honor to share these conversations, especially when the topic is so urgent yet so misunderstood. In Japan, we've seen this too. Many people in their 60s or 70s come to clinics complaining of fatigue, foggy thinking, or stiffness, and they assume it's just aging. But very often what's aging isn't the person, it's their metabolism. Their cells aren't responding to insulin the way they used to. Their liver is quietly collecting fat, and their pancreas is overworked but underappreciated. I remember one patient, 71 years old, recently diagnosed as pre-diabetic. No medication yet, just told to watch the sugar. But instead of fear, we focused on food as function. He began to change what he ate, not just how much. And within 12 weeks, his blood sugar normalized. His energy came back, and he told me, I feel 10 years younger, not because I lost weight, but because my brain woke up.
That's such an important point. Because nutrition doesn't just help manage diabetes, it can actually reverse it if you know where to start.
Exactly. In today's episode, we'll explain why insulin stops working as we age, why refined carbs and sugars are not just empty calories but metabolic disruptors, and how a fatty liver might be the first silent warning sign that diabetes is already brewing. Most importantly, we'll show you 5 foods that can help unlock your cells again, gently restoring the body's ability to respond to insulin and burn energy the way it was designed to.
So, if you or someone you love is worried about blood sugar, struggling with belly fat, or just tired of feeling tired, this episode is for you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the Shigeaki Podcast, because the path to healing might start with just one meal and one decision. Let's begin with something that surprises a lot of people. Type 2. Diabetes is not caused by a lack of insulin. In fact, most people with type 2 have too much insulin, but their cells have stopped responding to it. This is what we call insulin resistance. Think of your cells like little doors. When you're young and healthy, insulin is the key that opens those doors and lets glucose sugar come inside and be used for energy. But over time, if you eat too much sugar or too many refined carbs, your body produces more and more insulin to try and keep your blood sugar in check. Eventually, those doors get tired of being knocked on so hard so often, and they just stop responding. The key still works, but the lock is jammed. That's insulin resistance, and it's at the core of type 2 diabetes.
Yes, and here's something many people miss. What locks the cell is not your age. It's not the calendar. It's your cells being overexposed to sugar. Refined carbohydrates like white bread, pasta, cookies, even so-called healthy cereals break down quickly into glucose. And when your blood sugar rises too often, insulin rises too. That constant high insulin level creates chronic inflammation, stores fat around your belly, and especially in your liver. And the liver is critical here, because one of the earliest signs of type 2 diabetes is fatty liver, a condition where fat accumulates inside the liver cells. But here's the danger: fatty liver usually has no symptoms. It doesn't hurt, it doesn't show up unless you test for it. So many people walk around with it and never know that their metabolic system is already in crisis.
That's why so many people are told you're pre-diabetic or your sugar's a little high, but nothing is done until it gets worse. By then, insulin resistance has already taken root, and medications are often prescribed to lower blood sugar without addressing why the cells stopped listening in the first place.
But the good news is, we can rebuild the connection. When we lower insulin levels, reduce sugar, and provide the nutrients your body actually needs, the cells can start responding again. It's never too late.
And this isn't theory. Clinical studies and thousands of real patients have shown that type 2 diabetes can be reversed. Not managed, not delayed, but truly reversed. Not through extreme diets or starvation, but through targeted healing nutrition.
Even if you've lived with type 2 for years, your body can still change. And in the next part, we'll show you the biggest mistakes in diabetes treatment.
Let's take a moment to address something that's holding millions of people back. In my practice, I've seen far too many patients, smart, committed, trying their best, who still can't improve their blood sugar, even though they're doing what they've been told. And it often comes down to a few major misunderstandings about type 2 diabetes. Mistake number one is the belief that type 2 diabetes is a chronic, irreversible disease, something you'll have to manage for the rest of your life. Now, that's what most people are told. But the truth is, for many, type 2 diabetes is not only reversible, it's reversible with relatively small changes made consistently over time.
Yes, I've seen patients live for years thinking there's no way out. They manage their sugar, take their medications, avoid sweets, and yet their energy drops, their waistlines grow, and their numbers stay high.
That leads to mistake number two, focusing only on lowering blood sugar in the bloodstream, while completely ignoring what's happening at the cellular level. Medications like metformin or insulin injections might reduce the amount of sugar floating in the blood, but they don't necessarily fix the reason your cells stopped listening to insulin in the first place.
Exactly. Blood sugar is like the smoke, not the fire. The real issue is insulin resistance, and if you don't address it, the fire keeps burning silently. That brings us to mistake number three, relying entirely on medications without changing anything about how you eat, how you move, or how you sleep.
I often say many patients chase their sugar numbers, but never rebuild their metabolic foundation. They reduce calories, skip meals, or eat less, but still choose the wrong foods. I've had patients come to me and say, "Doctor, I only eat 2 meals a day now, some crackers, a little rice and fruit, but my sugar is still high." That's because they're eating less, but it's still mostly refined carbs. Their insulin stays high, their cells stay resistant, and nothing really changes.
In Japan, we've learned that it's not just about how much you eat, it's what and when you eat that matters more. Even a small amount of the wrong food like white rice, white bread, sugary tea can keep your insulin high all day. And while medications can play a role, especially in the early stages or in serious cases, they are not a complete solution. They can't teach your cells how to respond again. Only food movement and restoration can do that.
And let me add this, if you're only checking your blood sugar without ever looking at your insulin, you might be missing the bigger picture. I always encourage my patients to test fasting insulin or HOMA-IR, not just glucose.
So if you're listening and you've been doing everything right, but still feel stuck, ask yourself, am I just lowering sugar or rebuilding insulin sensitivity? Am I avoiding sweets but still living on white carbs? Am I treating numbers or truly healing my metabolism? Once you start asking those questions, the path forward becomes much clearer. And in the next section, we'll show you 5 specific foods that can begin this reversal process gently, naturally, and powerfully.
Let's start with the food that's been healing people for thousands of years, lentils. They may look humble, but they are one of the most powerful blood sugar balancing foods available, especially for older adults managing type 2 diabetes. Their benefit comes from a rare combination of soluble fiber, plant-based protein, and micronutrients that directly support blood sugar regulation.
Soluble fiber in lentils slows down the absorption of glucose from the digestive tract. That means after a meal, sugar enters your bloodstream gradually, not in one sudden wave. This helps prevent post-meal glucose spikes and reduces the demand for insulin, allowing your cells to recover sensitivity over time.
At the same time, the protein in lentils, while plant-based, is highly effective at promoting satiety. This helps reduce overeating and stabilizes energy levels throughout the day. Fewer hunger swings means fewer insulin surges, and that's critical for long-term reversal. Lentils are also a rich source of magnesium and zinc, two minerals that are essential for proper insulin signaling. Magnesium acts as a cofactor for insulin receptors on the cell membrane, helping the body hear insulin again. Zinc plays a role in both insulin production and insulin receptor function.
And let's not forget lentils have a low glycemic index. That means they release sugar slowly and support a gentle rise in blood glucose rather than a spike. This property makes them ideal for anyone working to repair insulin resistance. In short, lentils feed your metabolism instead of stressing it. They're low-cost, nutrient-dense, and offer a scientifically grounded way to reduce insulin load and support long-term glucose control.
Let's move on to the fourth food on our list, one that's already sitting in most kitchen cabinets but rarely used for its medicinal potential: cinnamon. Cinnamon isn't just a warming spice, it's also one of the most researched natural compounds for supporting healthy blood sugar levels. What makes cinnamon so unique is its high content of polyphenols, especially one called MHCP methylhydroxycalcone polymer, which can mimic the function of insulin and improve how cells respond to it.
Yes, these polyphenols help enhance insulin receptor activity, making it easier for glucose to enter the cell. In simple terms, cinnamon helps retrain the cells to listen to insulin again, which is the core problem in type 2 diabetes. This makes it particularly useful in the post-meal window, where blood sugar tends to spike. Several clinical studies have shown that when used consistently, cinnamon can reduce postprandial after-meal blood glucose levels, in some cases by up to 10 to 20%, depending on the dose and the individual's insulin resistance level.
There's also evidence that cinnamon can support HbA1c reduction, especially when used alongside a low-glycemic whole foods-based diet. HbA1c reflects your average blood glucose over 2 to 3 months, so even small improvements are a sign of better long-term control.
One thing to note is dosage and quality. The most commonly studied form is Ceylon cinnamon, which contains less coumarin, a compound that can be toxic in high amounts. A safe daily amount is typically half to 1 teaspoon per day, used consistently. Cinnamon can be added to oatmeal smoothies, unsweetened yogurt, or even warm almond milk in the evening. It's simple, accessible, and it works with not against your insulin.
Coming in at number 3, we have one of the most misunderstood yet highly effective foods for people with insulin resistance: eggs. Eggs have long been feared for their cholesterol content, but when it comes to blood sugar and insulin control, they're actually one of the most metabolically friendly foods you can eat. Unlike carbohydrate-rich breakfast items like toast or cereal, eggs do not spike insulin. Instead, they promote satiety, the feeling of fullness, which helps reduce snacking and overeating later in the day.
That satiety effect is thanks to the high-quality protein found in eggs. Each egg provides all 9 essential amino acids in a form that's highly bioavailable, meaning the body can absorb and use them efficiently. This protein not only helps you feel full, but also supports muscle maintenance, a crucial factor for older adults working to avoid both fat gain and sarcopenia.
Replacing a carb-heavy breakfast with a protein-based one has been shown to improve post-meal glucose levels and reduce overall daily insulin output. In other words, starting your day with eggs can help you stabilize blood sugar from the very first meal. Eggs also support metabolic flexibility, the body's ability to shift between burning carbs and burning fat. This helps reduce visceral fat storage, particularly around the liver and abdomen, which are closely tied to insulin resistance.
Boiled, poached, or lightly pan-seared with healthy fats like olive oil eggs are simple, versatile, and powerful. They're an ideal substitute for refined carbohydrates in the morning, giving your body fuel without pushing your pancreas into overdrive.
At number 2, we have one of the most powerful yet underrated allies in reversing type 2 diabetes, dark leafy greens. These include spinach, kale, arugula, collard greens, Swiss chard, and mustard greens, all of which are packed with magnesium, vitamin K, and a wide range of antioxidants that help reduce chronic inflammation, a key driver of insulin resistance.
Yes, magnesium in particular plays a direct role in glucose metabolism. It acts as a cofactor for insulin receptors and helps transport glucose into the cells more efficiently. Unfortunately, magnesium deficiency is extremely common among older adults, and leafy greens are one of the most natural ways to replenish it.
Vitamin K found in greens also supports vascular health, helping protect the arteries from stiffness and calcification issues that are often accelerated by poorly managed diabetes. Meanwhile, antioxidants like lutein and beta-carotene help neutralize oxidative stress, which damages both the pancreas and blood vessels over time.
Another critical role leafy greens play is in liver detoxification. A healthy liver is essential for processing excess glucose, breaking down insulin, and managing fat storage, all central to reversing metabolic dysfunction. When your liver is overburdened, your insulin sensitivity declines.
Studies show that eating leafy greens regularly, even just 1 to 2 cups per day, can significantly improve insulin sensitivity, lower fasting blood sugar, and reduce cardiovascular risk in people with type 2 diabetes. Whether eaten raw in salads, gently sautéed with olive oil, or blended into smoothies, leafy greens are one of the simplest, safest, and most effective foods for long-term blood sugar control.
Taking the number 1 spot on our list is a tiny seed with extraordinary metabolic power: chia seeds. Despite their size, chia seeds offer a unique nutritional profile that directly supports blood sugar stability and insulin sensitivity. The most important feature of chia seeds is their high content of soluble fiber, which, when mixed with liquid, forms a natural gel-like substance in the digestive tract. This gel slows the absorption of glucose into the bloodstream, resulting in a smoother, slower rise in post-meal blood sugar levels.
This slowing effect not only protects your pancreas from overproducing insulin, but also helps reduce blood sugar crashes, which are often responsible for energy dips, irritability, and sugar cravings between meals. Chia seeds also help regulate appetite and satiety. The fiber and water-binding properties expand in the stomach, creating a feeling of fullness that lasts for hours. That means fewer hunger pangs and less likelihood of overeating, especially important for those working to reduce body fat and control insulin.
Chia is also a source of plant-based omega-3 fatty acids, which offer anti-inflammatory benefits that support cardiovascular and pancreatic health, 2 areas often compromised in type 2 diabetes.
A common way to use chia seeds is to soak 1 tablespoon in water or unsweetened plant-based milk for about 10 to 15 minutes. You can also add them to smoothies, oatmeal, or sugar-free yogurt. The key is consistency. Using chia daily offers cumulative benefits. If you're looking for a simple, no-prep, low-calorie way to control glucose and reduce insulin stress, chia seeds are one of the most effective tools in your nutritional arsenal.
Now that we've covered 5 of the most powerful foods to reverse type 2 diabetes, let's talk about how to use them effectively. Because food doesn't work in isolation, it works within the context of your daily habits. That's why we want to share 3 golden principles to help you achieve long-term reversal. Let's start with principle number 1. Eat to stabilize insulin, not just to cut calories. Many people try to manage diabetes by simply eating less, but that approach ignores the real issue, which is insulin overload. The goal isn't to starve yourself, it's to give your body the kinds of foods that lower insulin naturally so your cells can begin to respond again. What does that mean in practice? Focus on foods that are low in sugar, high in fiber, rich in protein, and contain healthy fats. Think eggs instead of toast, leafy greens instead of white rice, chia seeds instead of crackers. These swaps don't just lower blood sugar, they help reset your metabolism.
Yes, and that leads us to principle number 2. Your blood sugar is a reflection of your daily rhythms. It's not just what you eat, it's when you eat how you sleep, how you handle stress, and how you move your body. If you eat late at night, skip meals, or live in a state of chronic tension, your body remains in fight or flight mode and your glucose rises even if you haven't eaten much. The key is consistency. Eat at regular intervals. Sleep at the same time each night. Make space for calm because your metabolism listens to your lifestyle just as much as your meals.
Beautifully said. And here's principle number 3. Be patient. Give your body at least 3 to 6 weeks to respond. Most people give up too early. They eat healthy for a few days, see no change in their sugar, and assume it's not working. But healing insulin resistance takes time. Your cells need time to learn a new rhythm, and that rhythm is built one meal, one day, 1 week at a time.
I always remind my patients the goal is not to fight sugar. It's to rebuild trust between your body and your food. When you follow these 3 principles, you're not just lowering numbers, you're restoring function, harmony, and health from within.
Diabetes doesn't disappear overnight. It doesn't vanish because of one salad or one supplement. But with the right foods, the right mindset, and the right timing, it can quietly begin to step out of your life. What starts as a small shift in your meals can become a deep shift in your metabolism. That's the power of nourishment, not restriction, and that's what we hope you take away from this episode.
Yes, because the path to healing isn't about fighting your body. It's about listening to it gently and consistently. One change at a time, one meal, one morning. That's how reversal begins. And sometimes it only takes a few days to feel the difference. We'd like to challenge you to a simple 3-day reset, something anyone can try without medications or extreme diets. Day 1, remove all added sugar, skip sweet drinks, flavored yogurts, and processed snacks. Instead, try drinking warm water with cinnamon in the morning or after meals to support blood sugar naturally. Day 2, add 2 servings of leafy greens and 1 serving of lentils or other legumes. These help detox the liver, feed the microbiome, and improve insulin sensitivity. Day 3, skip starchy snacks like crackers or pastries. Replace them with a boiled egg chia seed drink or a handful of sunflower seeds for sustained energy, no sugar crash.
By the end of 3 days, many people feel lighter, steadier, and more in control, not just of their meals, but of their health. You're never too old to reset. You're never too late to rebuild trust with your body. If this episode helped you or someone you love, please like, subscribe, and share the Shigeaki Podcast, because sometimes the most powerful form of medicine is the one you cook in your own kitchen.